Hello, welcome to First Thoughts. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Caleb Leger.
And today we're discussing one of our most anticipated films of the year, Saw 10, or Saw X, or if you're like me and you can't stop saying it, Sawx. This fucking thing delivered. Finally. We're not disappointed by something this year. We got one. We got a good one. And we're not alone in that. This movie, the 10th film in the Saw franchise, is remarkably critically acclaimed, had the best opening weekend for a Saw movie, and is definitely one of the more engaging and developed films in the franchise. And it took 10 movies for the critics to finally be like, all right, I see what they're doing here. I get it. Yeah, what'd you think?
I was, I'm a big fan of Saw. It's one of the ones I have tattooed on my arm. And so I did a whole rewatch of the series before this came out. So I was like, let me do a rewatch because of something we're going to do. We'll get to in a minute special. But I was like, in the process of that, let me rewatch this whole series. And, I still, I was really big into this franchise when it first came out. I loved it. I ate it up. I still fondly remember the commercials going, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw at the peak of its fucking height. And if you actually look at the box office to it, you forget how fucking huge this series was when it originally came out. Because the box office for those films compared to its budget are astronomical. It's astounding. And I did watch the two attempts they did with Jigsaw and Spiral to kind of bring this back. I thought both were okay, especially on this rewatch. I'm like, Jigsaw, it has its moments, but then I also have a lot of issues with that film with the secret apprentice and Spiral. On a rewatch, I'm like, this is an okay film. It has some really good traps, but I'm not that engaged with the story. I think they made a big mistake having let's just do this Chris Rock idea. Fuck doing anything that we tried to do with Jigsaw, even though that was actually box office success. But with this one, I was getting excited. I'm like, okay, it sounds like we're going back to basics, a back to basics approach here. From the poster to the title font to bringing back Tobin Bell for a very big role, and for once, 10 films on him, and he gets a substantial role as John Kramer. Bringing back a man, Shawnee Smith to play Amanda Young, it was okay, we're really going back to basics. And then I'm sure we'll get into it, but seeing the buzz when this was coming out, the buzz started to hype up right before, because I saw it Thursday night, right before I went to go see it. All of a sudden, yeah, people are loving it. It has 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Sitting there Thursday night, I was blown the fuck away. What it took 10 films to just say, hey, let's go back to basics. Give you story, give you characters, and give you those traps that you love, but out being so goddamn convoluted. As much as I like the series, that stripped down approach was the right touch for the 10th film in, and I really like this one. This is up there for me with a Saw film. I was blown away by how good this was.
As was I. Just for some context, for those of you who may not understand the critics' relationship with the Saw franchise, I'm going to run down the Rotten Tomatoes scores of the first 9 movies, just the critic score, so you can kind of understand where we're coming from here. Saw 2004, 50%. Saw 2, 2005, 37%. Saw 3, 2006, 30%. Saw 4, 2007, 18%. Saw 5, 2008, 13%. Saw 6, 2009, 39%. Went a little up. Saw the Final Chapter, 2010, 9%. Franchise low there.
I kind of agree with the one. I hate Saw 3D, but go on.
I think it's fun for what it is, but it is the worst of the franchise. Jigsaw 2017, 32%, and Spiral 2021, 37%. And then we've got Saw 10, 2023, 84%, critic score. Certified fresh, 92% audience score. Critic
Jeez.
consensus reads, led by a franchise best performance from Tobin Bell, Saw 10 reinvigorates the series with an installment that has a surprising amount of heart to go with all the gore. And yeah, it does. This movie is the first time in the entire franchise where Jigsaw is not the bad guy.
Yeah. Which, what's funny? Don't Breathe 2 did technically the same thing before this came out, but that was a shit film. And did not do a good job. Because I think what I like was like, yes, it makes it John Kramer was not a bad guy, but we, in the context of for longtime Saw fans, like, no, yeah, he's not bad. He just goes after worse people. And they did, and that was another smart thing is that for once, the people in this, admittedly with the sequels, they got real dubious on people being bad for him to put in traps. I know technically kind of explained away with his apprentices a lot of the times, but still it was like, we're really like Riggs in Saw 4. I'm like, he really is in this because he charges into rooms before he gets the okay because he wants to save people. I'm like, I don't quite understand your reasoning there, but okay. But having him actually go after like fucking despicable scam artists, that's the kind of stuff we want. Because at the end of the day, that's how you make Jigsaw sympathetic to an extent. It's like, yeah, he's putting people in horrendous things. Like, he's not a good guy, but at least he's going after people that you want to see in these fucking traps.
Yeah, then that's where it really is. Like, when you've got a John Kramer, Tobin Bell, his character is the through line of this entire franchise. His game, his ideas, his legacy, all that jazz. And his whole thing is, people who don't deserve life have to fight for it to see if they really appreciate what their existence entails. And a lot of the people in these franchises on these films do deserve to be there. Some don't, but I do credit that more to Hoffman just being a sadist.
And technically, actually, my theory with Saw 4, he was trying to recruit Riggs. That's my theory.
That was kind of explained. Strong Perez kind of figured that too.
Yeah, I was like, well, maybe he's trying to recruit him because I'm like, that's a really nutcase reason to put him into this.
Yeah. On the rewatch, when I was watching 6, when John's trying to get health, like his insurance to cover this experimental treatment in Norway, that's Saw 10. That's it's a very well connected story. All of it, like every little thing comes back in some capacity. I respect that big time.
Yeah, and to kind of quickly talk about like that whole critic thing because it still blows my mind. Like, Jesus Christ, I texted you, but this is my theory, just to put it on record. And it happens all the time, right? Hate, and you see it in like metal when a metal band comes out, a new one comes out, and everyone's like, "Oh, that band is," insert a certain term here. For those in the LGBTQ plus community that might listen to metal, what term kind of gets thrown around with these new metal bands. But then years down the road, all of a sudden they're really ahead of their time. They deserve their place. Like, it kind of felt like that, or like, one, yes, the film does. And it's almost like now that we're almost 20 years since Saw 4 came out, which will be next year, actually. Also, now we've gotten to that phase of like, oh, we don't need to shit on these films. We need to revere them and what they've done for horror. It's like now the critics have come around. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, this Saw's it's a great franchise and what it did for horror. But also the fact that like, and this was my worry when I saw it Thursday night, as much as I liked it, I saw that runtime. I was like, oh my God, 2 hours. Like, what the fuck are they doing? And it's because the first hour of the film is all just John Kramer's story of trying to get his cancer taken care of before that hour mark hits. And then it's like, it becomes a Saw film pretty much the rest of the way through.
Yeah. Or
your traditional, more, classic Saw film, I should say. Not that it isn't for the first hour. But I think by doing that, it was a little bit, I was like, I hope people like it because I know some people are going to be like, I don't want this show, I just want the traps. Luckily, that didn't seem to be the case. People latched on, critics included. That seemed to be what kind of converted a lot of people over, was like, oh, wow, they put a lot of effort into the story and characters. Again, I'm not saying they did Empire songs, but let's be honest, the sequels did what every horror franchise does. People really like the traps, up those, let's go. Like, And I get it, you got to bring audiences in for more, right? But I think between like the almost 20 you got from the first film and now a bigger focus on story and characters, it seemed to really convert a lot of people over to this new one.
Well, it's written in a way that John Kramer's our protagonist. We follow him in his desire to cure his cancer. And it's almost, I don't know if you picked up on this or if this was intentional, but like you get the vibe that he's almost saying to himself, like, if I beat this, the work is done.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm allowed to survive, like this is his game. The cancer is his game.
Yeah,
If
well,
he
you get that
wins.
scene where he rips out the page in the notebook when he's doing and
Yeah.
when he thinks it's been taken care of, you get that. Yeah, if he had been cured, he probably would have stopped. He would have been like, "I did it."
Yeah. And then he gets cheated, and it's almost like it gets kicked into fucking overdrive, and his determination to make these games happen is multiplied. And it's the first time in the whole franchise we really see John pissed and vengeful and like really wanting to hurt somebody. I
Oh
mean, even
yeah,
when his kid died, he was still like, I'm going to give you a chance. This time it's like, all of you are going to die.
oh yeah. Dude, look, when the switch was flipped I was wondering how if they were going to bring certain other character other than Amanda Young back. But when he got on the phone, he's like, "Hey, detective," I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, I know, me too.
talking to him. He's talking to the Hoffinator."
Well, when Costas Mandylor did that tweet where he's like, "Oh, Saw 10's coming out. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna get my ticket." I was like, "You motherfucker, you're in the movie, aren't you? Like, you wouldn't have said anything if you were in the movie."
Oh yeah, yeah. I will get to that mid credit scene, but I did actually really like it, and I did like the line he gave.
That is, yeah. Of all the people to cheat, you pick John Kramer.
Yeah,
Oh, so canonically, this takes place between the first two films.
yeah. So ideally, the bathroom trap has happened.
Yes, but the house has not yet happened. He's not
Has
quite.
not yet.
He's not as sick as he is in Saw 2, and he's not on his deathbed like Saw 3. So, yeah, this is
Yeah.
that adds up. It's cool to see him, as a human being. Jigsaw has been
Mhm.
this force of nature, this, almost, the judge of the afterlife, like holding the scales almost. We've never really gotten to see him as a human being. We saw glimpses of that with the flashbacks with Jill and the whole Gideon
On
thing.
the backwards hat to make him look younger.
Nice picture. I don't need it. We've met.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. The pre-show I went to, at Draft House, they did a previously on Saw where they recapped the whole franchise, which was really cool.
Oh, nice.
And they compared it to the Steve Buscemi "Hello, fellow kids" meme, and I was dying.
It's so funny they did that. And yeah, no, he finally see a human side of him. And to me, the reason I say it's crazy, it took 10 films deep to get to this point. I think why this one feels so special for a lot of people, myself included, is that Tobin Bell became an icon almost overnight thanks to that first film. Not that he wasn't obviously he was acting well before that in a lot of bit parts of stuff, but Saw really like blew him, especially in the horror community. And when that that twist ending happened, and then he, to me, some of the best things about Saw 2 is the interplay between him and Donnie Wahlberg. He's at that point in the timeline so stricken with cancer, he's confined to his chair with the IV in his arm.
Yeah.
And yet he commands the screen. And he did that part so goddamn well for even when he was just in the flashbacks. Like he was great as Jigsaw. There's a reason we latched on. There's a reason that even if for fans like myself, if there's a sequel that I don't really like, I can latch on to him because he's so goddamn good in the movies and capturing with the voice and everything. That seeing him be the main character and do such a great fucking job. And like again, I'm not trying to bring Oscars into it, but hey, I'd nominate him. I'm just saying. He does a great fucking job showing us a side of Jigsaw we don't see and just latching us onto him immediately. And I have to give a shout out for the fact that in an age where they are determined to de-age people and it still not look good, bravo to them saying, we're not de-aging these two. Let the actors be actors and perform, and we can convince them. They did. Yes, it's noticeable that they're 20 years older. But they still did such a good job. I didn't give a shit. Like they did so goddamn good in this movie.
Yeah, they played a believable like representation of where they are in the timeline. especially Shawnee Smith as, you know, an Amanda who's not quite ready to commit to this whole thing. Like she's willing, but it's also, you know, it's a big step saying like, I will continue the legacy of this serial killer.
Mhm.
And their relationship is so fleshed out in this movie. It actually makes like Saw 2 and 3 a little, especially 3, like really sad knowing where they're going to end up. They have this
Yeah.
father-daughter relationship that's just so fascinating.
Yeah, dude. The moment she took the pig mask off and like said the line that she says to the lady when she's passing out, I'm like, dude, she didn't miss a beat. She is back, and she was just like him eating up that scenery. Shawnee Smith, bravo, ate up the scenery. Like she didn't miss a step as Amanda. One bit, and I loved the touch of having one of the people in the trap be a drug addict. You know, kind of harkening back to where we saw her when she first popped up in the
Yeah.
first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and her conflictions about it, about like actually trying to hook. She's like, John, you know, drugs make you do crazy, and they do. Like when you're an addict, like you do crazy shit because you don't have really your mind to yourself. The drugs are fucking influencing you like crazy, or alcohol if you're addicted, you know, alcoholism. Um, so having that was a nice touch. And yeah, seeing them two, they had a lot of just great scenes together, those two. Really enforced that, like at the end of the day, yeah, she was probably his favorite apprentice, and he had a love for her they didn't really have for his other, like apparently 5 other apprentices that we keep
Well,
learning about.
well, I mean, you know, Amanda wasn't just, you know, an apprentice like to help out. He was going to give her his mantle. She was going to be Jigsaw,
Yeah.
but Hoffman fucked that.
Yeah, because he was jealous and petty.
Yeah. And also, you know, John blackmailed his ass to even be involved.
Yeah.
And then Gordon's just like, I will help out sometimes if you need some surgery, but I am also a doctor and I have patients. And then Logan's like, I don't know what the hell's going on because you never got anything with that guy.
Yeah. I helped him with a trap or two, and then that was about it.
He built the reverse bear trap, then he bounced.
Yeah. Until he needed to come back with a vengeance in Jigsaw.
All right. So before we get further into the 10th film, we have a very special project we're doing. We both marathoned all 9 films to prep for this so we could have them all fresh in our heads. And we made our own personal lists of our top 5 favorite Jigsaw traps from 1 to 10. And we're excited to dig into these. Did
you say 1 to 10 or mean 1 to 5?
like movies? No, Saw to
Oh
Saw
shit! I was like,
10,
what?
my friend.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell?
We have 5 traps. We have 10 films. Yeah. Did anything from 10 make it into your top 5?
Not in this. I want to keep it classic. But with that said, 10 had really good traps. They were a lot more simple compared to what we got in a lot of the later sequels, but I liked a lot of them. If I had to pick a standout one right now, it has to be when she had to cut through her damn leg. Like, dear God.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure. So why don't you start us out with your number 5 of your favorite Saw traps?
All right, so top 5. I'm gonna get the most, you know, the main one out of the way. I was trying to avoid. I can't help it. It's iconic for a reason. We'll get it out of the way so I can talk about other ones though. That's the reverse bear trap in the original Saw. Look, again, I think some of the best traps, with a couple of exceptions, are the simplistic ones.
Yep.
And this was a case of, I think this one latched on for a lot of reasons for audiences, myself included. It's very simple. This idea that for those who don't know what a bear trap, you step in it, shit closes on your foot. Well, a bear, hopefully, not you. But they hurt like a son. If it is you for some reason, oh well, you might lose a leg. Those things are pretty fucking powerful. So the reverse side would be it opens, but that fucking thing's on your jaw, so it just rips it up. But I think what also they did so well is that you don't see this thing work until Saw 3D. Like we get a taste of like, holy shit, what can this thing do in the first Saw? We don't actually see the payoff. Admittedly, not my favorite payoff, but still gotta see it at least in the final at the time final installment. So yeah, for me, I'll put I tried to avoid putting it, but it's a fucking iconic trap. It's so goddamn good.
It is. I think my favorite usage of it is with Hoffman when he figures his way out of it and it like rips open his face and he's just like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a vicious one. I don't know if it would necessarily kill you. I feel like it would just rip your jaw open.
It'd probably kill you. I'm sure when it does that, some force gets applied to your head somehow.
Yeah, probably. Uh, and that's how we
Plus,
meet.
would you want to live? Your jaws are gone.
No, probably not. Um, that's how we meet Amanda as well in the trap, and she cuts open that guy.
Yeah, which it's crazy for Shawnee Smith. She only was in that movie because James Bond had a crush on her because of the Blob.
Yeah, and I read that they filmed that sequence like after they'd filmed Saw because James Wan like edited the movie and was like, "Oh my god, I made a PG-13 drama. I got to put some horror in this thing." So they filmed that scene and a couple other ones.
The original short that Saw was based off of that James Wan did, that was the short, was that trap. That guy. So apparently, I think a lot. I know at least what the first Saw, and whenever Darren Bousman was directing, so 2 through 4, all the traps could actually work. I cannot speak on behalf of directors that took over afterwards, but with David Hackle and Kevin Greutert. But if you had Darren Bousman, James Wan, the traps could actually fucking work.
That's terrifying. I don't like that.
They had safety measures to make sure no one got hurt, but like they would also test them to be like, "Oh yeah, I can do it. Okay, sweet."
Holy shit! You imagine being plugged into that thing and like having James Wan be like, "No, it's safe. I promise."
But we can only have 90 seconds, so you might want to just do it real quick so I can unlock it and get you out of there.
Good God. My number 5 is the pound of flesh from Saw 6.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a solid one.
Just such a grisly situation you're faced with. These two people, this fat dude and this chick, are locked up in separate cages with like bolts in their head that are going to drill into their skulls and kill them unless one of them fills the bucket in front of them with enough flesh to beat the other person. It's just holy shit. And yeah, they both take this very seriously. The guy just starts cutting into his fucking fat and just throwing chunks of himself into the bucket. And she struggles to cut her arm off with the smallest knife she can find.
I know. I remember I was rewatching. I was like, "Why did you do that? Just go for the bigger weapon."
Like, could you not find a can opener? Like, why are you going so small with this? And yeah, she eventually is like, "Fuck this!" Grabs a meat cleaver, cuts her whole arm off, and wins. And the fat guy gets drilled in the head after he's like literally just hanging, like his guts are hanging open. It's so gross. But yeah, I was like, what a hell of a way to just get us right in the action for Saw 6. And we later see her again at the Jigsaw support group being like, fuck all y'all. I didn't learn shit.
Yeah. Except losing my arm. I like how she's like, I get handicapped now.
I get handicap parking at the mall, so I got that going for me, which is nice.
I was like, that I got a good chuckle all of that.
I do love when Hoffman goes to visit her in the hospital and he's like, well, did you learn something? And she's like, fuck you, man. And he just walks out.
Yeah, especially because at that point we know we're like, oh, you ass.
Rubbing salt in that gaping wound, huh?
Oh yeah. Fun fact, she got that role. There was a short-lived reality horror show called Scream Queens. Not to be confused with the Ryan Murphy produced Scream Queens. That Shawnee Smith hosted that season. I think maybe both. I know she did the first season. And whoever won, because it was a tie into Saw 6, whoever won would get a role in Saw at the time upcoming Saw 6. She won, she got the role.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
What did they do on the show? Like what were the challenges? Like how did that
God, I gotta rack the brain. It was so long ago. I mean, obviously horror related stuff. Nothing like Fear Factor where they had to eat like cockroaches, but they would do like horror movie scenarios that had to like survive and stuff like that.
Interesting. I wonder if that's alive anywhere.
It might be on something like Pluto or fucking Tubi, I'm sure if you look.
Probably. All right. Where are you going next? What's your number 4?
All right, my number 4, and I can't believe I put this one on here because I fucking really just do not like Saw the Final Chapter. God, what a limp dick way to go out at the time. No offense to the Boondocks. Hey, but I gotta give them credit as nonsensical and outlandish as this trap is, I enjoy it. And that's what I like to call the public execution trap.
That is also my number 4. Continue.
Okay, look, this trap makes no goddamn sense. Especially like if we're being honest, almost none of the traps in Saw 3D make any sense because like a lot of it's Hoffman doing it to cover his tracks to get the hell out of Dodge. So like there's traps that just happen for no goddamn reason. This being one of them. It's never explained why the hell this trap happened at all, or even how it was pulled off. But I gotta give you credit. Like you're saying at this point, you're like, look, it's the 7th film in the franchise. We're ending this. Go big or go home. So give us one in public where they have to find out that the woman that's dangling between them was secretly dating both of them. So at first they do what any guy would do. I'm going to try to kill you first. Fuck you. I'm going to get the girl. And I love it. And it speaks to me, just the male mindset in the most perfect form, which is, wait, why are we doing this? She's fucking both of us over. Fuck you. And they just put that bitch in the middle so she can get it. It's a fun trap. God damn it.
Yeah. To me, when you throw 3D on one of your entries, that tells me that you no longer give a shit. So, why not have a jigsaw trap in broad daylight in the middle of a crowded park that people are like filming and watching, and only one lady tries to like break open the glass and she doesn't try very hard.
He tries with a briefcase.
Like who set this up? When did they set this up? Like Hoffman by himself set up a public execution trap in the middle of a park in like one night with 3 victims.
Well, I wonder if, because I know before they were going to, Saw 7 and Saw 8, they were going in with Saw 8, and then all the financial stuff happened. I know one that talked about storylines at the time was a cult of Jigsaw that I think that they hint at the end of the film, that he has like a whole cult of his followers that, and they kind of bring back in Jigsaw.
Here's an idea. Maybe that wasn't a Hoffman trap. Maybe that was a Gordon trap.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder if it was a cult trap that would have been explored in a proposed Saw 8.
Because when Gordon goes after Hoffman, there's 2 other people in pig masks who are never addressed.
And well, so apparently they said it was supposed to be the 2 in this trap. They just never fucking decided to have them take their mask off. Saw the final chapter is a whole mess. It could be a whole episode because like they had one script for it, and then like they were like, shit, we got to condense it down to 1. So then they took a lot almost from 8, threw them into the script for 7, and then I think David Hackle or someone else was supposed to actually direct the film. He just, for reasons never given, fired. Kevin Grutter got forced to come back to direct. He didn't want to direct it. He was directing something else. They pulled a contractual obligation on him. The studio forced him to come back with only weeks to get ready to film. And so he was pissed off. And then he was like, give me the script. And he did his own fucking rewrites because he was mad. It's a whole, dude, Saw the final chapter is a fucking mess and how it got made because all the shit going on.
Well, shit. I'm just going to assume that those 2 guys in the pig mask, one of them's Logan, I'm going to assume. And the other one is, I'm going to go ahead and say Bobby, because we don't ever find out what the fuck happened to Bobby.
No, even though I don't like that his wife, you did not know about any of this shit, gets incinerated.
Hoffman,
Jesus.
Jigsaw wouldn't do that, but Hoffman likes to kill people brutally.
He really does.
Take down a whole fucking police station with nobody stopping him.
Yeah, what's the worst like guarded police station at night? Like Jesus Christ.
What do you have, a scalpel? And he just killed like 8 people?
All through the neck too. It was weird. I have a lot of issues with Saw 3.
But that public park execution is so good. I love the 2 guys are just like, fuck you, she's mine, and then back and forth, and then she's just like, Brad, you gotta kill the other guy, and Brad's like, what the fuck, I thought you loved me, and she's like, no, and then he gets the upper hand, and the other guy's like, I had to say that, you gotta kill him. Like, I love that they eventually are just like, this bitch ain't worth it, and just decided to let her die. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but it was hilarious.
It shows you that the power of vagina that women think this is just so strong, it's not that strong. Eventually guys will go, no, fuck you.
Especially when they're, in front of a buzzsaw. That'll do it.
I'll do it. I would be like, look, bro, she was clearly lying to both of us. How about we just we live, she doesn't. All right. We can go have a beer afterwards. How's that sound,
Oh
pal?
my God. They're covered in her blood. They still got the chains on, and they're just at the local pub, like fucking rough morning, huh? Okay. So that was my number 4 as well. What's your number 3?
All right, my number 3 is apparently a personal favorite to Jigsaw. He says so in the line of dialogue. This one's from Saw 3, and that is the one known as the Rack.
Mm.
This thing is fucking brutal. Oh my god. Look, I cannot fathom the amount of emotional turmoil one goes through with the loss of a child, especially in a drug driving incident. Cannot fathom that at all. So I haven't been through it, but I'm it's not something I would ever want to go through or wish on anyone. I also don't know if after even going through that, I could watch the person that did it get twisted the fuck up like they do here. Holy shit. Because this strap in it, we see the guy, it's the guy who killed Chef, that was his name. The one that killed his son in a drunk driving incident. And the rack, it takes each of his limbs and takes a turn to turn them. What each limb it does going more than the last one. So it does one arm, then the next, then his legs, and each one goes further back, and it ends with his neck getting twisted the entire way back. This thing is wow, like it is fucking brutal to watch, and the way they see the bones popping out, and it's a really cool trap. Watching behind the scenes, like I encourage anyone who likes the Saw franchise, like watch behind the scenes on how they do these traps. It's amazing. They did a lot of makeup effects to make it look like his show was already twisted, and they could move. Again, these traps work, so they were able to move it a little bit for effect, but not enough to actually hurt the dude. And a lot of really cool stuff. And yeah, there's a reason this trap has become one of the more iconic ones from the franchise.
Oh, I will have more on the Rack later. That one got to me. But yeah, my favorite thing about Saw 3 is that Jeff doesn't learn a goddamn thing.
Chef is honestly like one of the worst protagonists. He's slow. He doesn't learn a goddamn thing.
The whole time he fails all of them, all of his games. Everyone dies. He just stands there watching for every single person.
At first, I was like, I had my stereotypical reaction with the look. Just spoilers for any Saw films if you fucking haven't watched this and you're for some reason listening to this. At first, when they did the reveal that his wife was like, Lynn, and she was actually cheating on him, I'm like, oh, you bitch! How dare you? I'm not one for cheating personally. But then, like, we got to know Chef more. I saw how slow and terrible he was. I was like, you know what? The guy she's cheating was probably a better dude because Chef sucks.
Did you know Saw 4 had a post-credit scene?
Yeah, I found out literally like 2 weeks ago.
I found out at the pre-show for Saw 10. They were like, and according to the mid-credits or the post-credit scene in Saw 4, and I'm like, the fucking what for what now?
Yeah, apparently it's like Amanda Young just walks in and then tells like the little girl that was like in Saw 3 missing, like they're going to come and get you soon. Just you'll be all right or some shit like that.
No, she says, don't trust the man who saves you. And then nothing ever comes from that.
Yeah, it was like the most useless post-credit scene. And the only reason I found is because I've been watching like the dead meat kill counts, and I watched the Saw ones as I was getting into my Saw fever. And he probably was, did you guys know there's a post-credit scene at the end of Saw 4? And I was like, the fuck?
It's funny. But yeah, I'll say my bit on the Rack in a minute here. My number 3 is from Saw 10, and it is the bone marrow trap. So Valentina, I think her name was.
Yeah, Valentina.
Yeah, one of the lying, terrible human beings who were cheating cancer patients out of their hard-earned money and then telling them they were saved and then letting them go die. It pisses me off just saying it. She is put in a razor wire thing where like there's a razor near her neck, and Jigsaw tells her, so what you got to do if you want to get out of this is take your perfectly formed legs, line them up to that razor I provided in this little box, and cut that fucker off and fill that tank with bone marrow.
Yeah.
And you got 3 minutes.
And apparently the wire's like this one that's been designed to cut cleanly to like the bone. It's so like sharp, and you get a taste of it when like it moves and she tries to grab it out of reaction, and she just immediately like just completely cuts her hand. You're like, oh my god.
It takes some convincing, and the Norwegian chick's immediately like, do it, come on, do it. Like the fact that she's completely unfazed by any of this, the whole movie should have been a big hint. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
We'll get to that. Valentina picks up the razor wire, puts it on her leg, and just slices once. And oh my god, you feel it, man. You feel
the
it.
Sound effects, man, when they were doing that.
God, and she screams and is like, "I can't do this!" And the clock's ticking, and let me look up her name real quick. I don't want to keep calling her, the Norwegian person.
Between the sound effects, and then when they show the amount of blood coming out as she's cutting, and you're like, oh god.
Cecilia is like, you got this. She's like her fucking life coach. And Valentina just starts slicing like really fast. And it's so the noise of just flesh cutting, and you can see it's so well done, the makeup effect there. And then her leg just falls over. You're just like, Jesus Christ.
And then the stinger when she has to grab the thing and stick it up her fucking cut bone to suck the bone out, and you're like, oh.
And then she almost fills the tank, and she runs out of time, and the razor cuts her head off. Like all of that, and she fucking lost.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, as I was watching, I'm like, yeah, I had another trap in that spot, but I'm like, no, that was special. The visceral reaction from me proved like, yeah, this belongs in the top 5.
Yeah, no, that was a fucking good one. Goddamn. I was watching, I was like, oh. I don't know if I was like, I could feel it in my own leg. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I just kept like cringing the whole time. It was crazy.
Yeah, I actually forgot. Anytime I rewatch, I forget how many times I cringe because like I love gore, but I gotta give the Saw series credit. They go for it. Like I don't know what it is about their practical effects, but their shit hurts to watch.
I think it is the very fact that it's largely practical, that we are watching somebody cut something off. Like it's not there, but it's something that's getting cut.
That or like, and their sound effects, like, look, again, going back to the shitty Saw final chapter, the one where he has to get the shit out of her throat, but there's like a fish hook attached to it. I was cringing hard watching. I was like, oh, God.
But then like in Jigsaw, when Halloran's like brain, gets filleted by the lasers, and it's the most like obvious CGI special.
Oh yeah, I just yeah, I remember watching the first time I saw that movie because I watched Stranger Things. I was like, when the fuck did they bring Stranger Things into my Saw movie?
Looks like it looks like the Bloomin' Onion from Outback Steakhouse. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, no, it literally looks like, I think one of the creatures, like when they die, like their head came from. It literally like one of the creatures from Stranger. Someone point out you don't see a skull when he does it. I'm like,
oh my god, you don't. Wow.
So I think they literally just copy pasted from Stranger Things.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, what's your number 2?
All right, my number 2 is one that, look, this has mostly to do with my insane, and I know I'm saying this as someone with tattoos, 2 different needles, so fuck you. My hatred for needles, and that is insult to the fucking needle pit. Dear God, look, no one really dies from this thing. You have to work hard to die from this thing. But just like a pit of needles that was supposed to be meant for the fucking macho dude that you hate throughout the movie. But he takes Amanda, who I wonder what kind of conversation she had with Jigsaw afterwards. Like, I got thrown into this needle pit, and this wasn't my trap. What the fuck, John? And he throws her into a pit of fucking needle. And oh my God, it just looks painful. And like I said, I due to a very bad experience with needles and grown toenail. That's all I'm going to say because I don't gross anyone out on the podcast. I have hated needles since. Mine's getting like my tattoos. That's probably like the only time I don't mind needles. But getting 2 different type of needles is a whole different thing. They don't go as deep with tattoos. Seeing this, just oh God, it's just triggers. I'm like, oh, ow, and then when I see her like grab them to find the key, and I'm just like, oh God, your hand, the pain to feel all those needles, you immediately stab your hand while you're trying to move them out of the way. Oh God, this one gets me every time. Anytime I watch Saw 2, this trap fucking gets me. And the fact that they actually like ordered, I think like hundreds or thousands of needles like legit needles, took the real ones out, replaced them with fake ones, and then threw them into the pit. And that's what they did. Just they had apparently a day of just doing that. God bless they missed one.
Oh, I was thinking less about that hurts and more like those are not clean needles. Like she has AIDS.
Look, I think if you watch enough Saw films, you get used to the dirty aesthetic. Nothing looks clean in Saw ever.
No, I mean the long-term effects of like just illness and like tetanus and shit like that. You don't think about that, but that's what's killing more people in these traps than Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Like you think Gordon's gonna cut his foot off with a rusty saw, cauterize it on a hot pipe outside the room, and then just be okay? No.
Yeah. Or let's talk about the fact that, like, for some reason, Leigh Whannell's character, Adam, felt the need when he looked for that thing in the toilet, instead of looking in the much cleaner water on the, the top of it, went straight for the shit-filled water. I'm like, the amount of diseases you just got rifling your hand through there.
In Saw 3, the judge guy gets almost drowned in maggoty pig guts, and Leigh Whannell sticking his hand in a shit toilet is the nastiest moment in the Saw franchise.
Just yeah. I was like, don't stick your hand in there. Check the other part of the toilet.
Yeah, the part with the clue. The clue's not on the seat; it's on the tank.
Yeah, check the tank. Damn it, God. Oh,
you know what really bothers me? I saw that on the big screen a few weeks ago, and if you look carefully, the whole damn movie, he's got shit on his hand for the rest of the movie. He never wipes that off.
Yeah, I would have wiped. I wouldn't care if it was on my clothes. I'd fucking it's quickly on my pants.
Oh God, I would have taken that.
Or the fucking trash bag. You had a whole trash bag to use or wipe your fucking hand.
I would have cut my hand off. I mean, it wouldn't have helped me going forward, but it would be gone. My number 2 is the rack. Fucking hell, man. That is painful, man. I mean, the guy is just remorseful. It was an accident. I don't think he was drunk. I think he was just it was a complete shot in the dark accident.
Yeah.
And Jeff just watches him have, limb after limb. The judge is trying. The guy is screaming, remains conscious the whole fucking time. Arms break, legs break, neck breaks. As we're going to the neck, Jeff's finally like, wait, I forgive you. It's like,
yeah,
Jeff's
so slow. He spends so much of that time like yelling and like thinking about it. And then he gets the key off finally, which somehow triggered the shotgun in the process. So you got the judge killed. He saved. and then it takes forever finding the damn lock, get the kid out of there. And then it's too late.
I don't think it's right that Jeff is the one who got to kill Jigsaw. It's just there was no personal thing there. It was just like you inconvenienced me for a few hours.
I really forgot how fucking dumb of a main character Jeff is. They should have Detective Matthews or someone called Jigsaw.
They wasted Wahlberg in 3 and 4.
Wahlberg's just done with this shit. I do like that line in like 4 when he's like, I'm done playing this game. I'm tired of playing. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you are, buddy.
I don't want to play anymore. 6 months of just living in a hole, dangling over. Yeah, he's not supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I feel like the ice at that point was like the biggest lifesaver. Just like, oh, thank God it's over.
Yeah,
Dead, but over.
Sweet release of death. Yeah. Okay. All right. Top trap. What do you got?
All right, for me, I gotta go with the one from Saw 6, which was I was debating between 2 and Saw 6 because there's 2 really fucking good ones, and a film that had really strong traps after kind of the lackluster traps in Saw 5, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I was debating between the breathing one where they have to hold their breath because that's just you don't like it's so simplistic and not this like you have to do this super painful thing to you to get out. It's like hold your breath until the time runs out and then you're good. Like that. It sounds simple, but it's fucking tough. We see what happens. But the one I ultimately went with was the other really good one, the shotgun carousel. Because sweet Jesus, like, hey, you have to pick out of these team of people who the hell is going to live and who dies. One of which I recognize the lady from the recent Star Trek Strange New Worlds show. So good for her. But yeah, this is just a cool fucking trap. Like, stick your hand in this thing, it's going to stab you, which won't feel good because your hands made of fucking bone and cartilage and shit, like the rest of your body. And it's going to, if you do that, you save that person. If you don't, you're going to fucking, the shotgun's going to go off on someone. It, and just a mind fuck on, if you're on that carousel of, is he going to save me or let me get shot? Like, oh my God, the mind fuck. To the point where you get that one guy who kind of overacted a little bit with the look at me before you kill me. Like, all right, bro, calm down.
Well, calm down. I mean, this is kind of impossible. I'm surprised I didn't hear from any of those guys, like any of them. I didn't hear, like, I'll suck your dick. I didn't hear that once.
I'll suck your dick so goddamn good.
I love it. It's the interns whose job is to hunt down people's medical information and find out where they made a mistake so they can't get health insurance. What vultures? Just, yeah, I no sympathy at all. And I do love when he finally makes his decision and that last guy's just like, well, that's fucking great, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Just has no hope anymore. And he just decides to, just be a dick on the way out.
Yep. He's like, I'm going to be an asshole on the way out. Yeah. No, this is such a good, and this is a case where, like, obviously this is a more complex trap, and that's kind of like, to me, some of the issues with the later films is that the traps kind of got complex for their own good sometimes.
I like to picture Hoffman like trying to put this together, like Jigsaw left him like, booklets on how to assemble this stuff, and he's like, rod A into insert B. Where the fuck is it, John? He's like freaking out because he's killed everyone who can help him.
I didn't want them to die, John. I just needed help with the goddamn build of this.
That's, yeah. I love when it starts. Yeah, go ahead.
I love, like, he's testing it out. He's like, okay, he has like a dummy hand. Let's try this shotgun real quick. It doesn't go. Fuck. God damn it. Now I gotta figure out the shotgun's not going off.
He puts it all together and then he looks down and there's like one long screw on the ground. And he's like, fuck. What? Where? I don't. Oh my God. I'm not an engineer, damn it. I'm a cop.
He goes, well, there goes my night, because I got to get this done today.
There's no way that didn't happen. There's no way building all that shit by himself went off without a hitch every time.
Oh, no.
I do love when the people in the carousel start turning on each other. They're just like, he's stealing from the company. She doesn't have kids. Like, just trying to, yeah. They're doing it to themselves. It's, yeah. And Easton's just like he's so done.
I love how done he is at that point. He's like, God damn it.
He didn't even react when the thing pierces his hand. He's just like, he's so out of it.
I mean, think about it. He had, at that point, because, he let his breath out a couple times. He had that thing kind of punch in on him. That was after, I think, the hot steam, which I've had close encounters with hot steam. But for those who don't know, that shit is no joke. That would hurt like a motherfucker. So you had to deal with that. I would believe at that point he's like,
well, and the key in his body that was sewn in. So there's that as well. Right. Yeah, and he's at this point, like, probably realizing, hey, maybe I shouldn't have told everybody that they can just go die. That's probably not the right thing to do.
He's probably sitting right and goes, who the hell did I tell? He's probably like, oh, I should have gave John Kramer the fucking coverage.
Well, that segues perfectly into my number one, which is also from Saw 6. I don't know what it's called, so I'm just going to call it acid injection.
Oh, yeah, the fucking Jesus Christ.
So Easton has supposedly won his game. He comes out to find 2 cages. One contains his sister, the journalist. I don't remember what happens to her.
She just disappears. I think there was a lot more plans with a lot of these surviving characters for Saw 7 and 8 finale. And yeah, because I know they also apparently were planning more for the support group that we saw in the final track. Like they were apparently reaching out to a lot of the fucking
I
actors.
I bet the support group was intended to be the cult of Jigsaw.
I think so, and I believe they were apparently reaching out to a bunch of the actors. Like the kid from Saw 2 and all. Like, I think they reached out to a bunch. They just took whoever said yes or whoever could agree to do it.
I would love a continuation with like going back to that concept, but like the leader is Jeff's daughter.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. There's enough survivors to make something really neat.
Yeah.
But anyway, Easton gets out. He meets his sister, and it's implied like you don't know that she's his sister. It's like you're supposed to think that the mom, the wife and son in the other cage are his family. But he gets out, and it's like, no, those are the family of the guy he just told that he can't help or he won't help because he didn't tell them about a toothache he had once,
Yeah.
and he died, and you find out this whole game was actually their game, and they have the power to decide whether or not Easton lives or dies. And this light comes on, and the mom's like, "You killed my husband. You deserve to die, but you can't do it." And you're like, "Oh, innocence, wills out." And then the son's like, "I can fucking do it." And puts on, grabs the handle, and is like, "You killed my dad," and hits the lever, and this giant wall of needles flies down and impales Easton on the wall and starts pumping him full of hydrofluoric acid. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. Which look, I want to say it at this point because Jigsaw was supposed to be someone that like they knew about at this point. Look at your surroundings and stay on the other side where you could have ducked down and probably not gotten hit by the damn thing.
See, you think that, but in the moment when you are in a jigsaw trap, when you have shit bolted to you, when everyone you love is in immediate danger, you're not exactly thinking rationally.
This is true. Because I remember watching it going like, oh man, if you just went to the other side and like laid on the floor, it would have been fine. That acid would have gone into absolutely nobody.
For me, the craziest decision in this whole movie is Bobby from Saw 3D deciding I'm going to fake being a jigsaw survivor. There's no way that won't come back and bite me in the ass, especially since this fucker and the people he trained are still active.
God, Bobby, you idiot.
Bobby. But
Yeah, no, this was a no, you're right. This thing, dude, when it slams into him and you see what it's oh god.
and that he holds on for quite a while. He is screaming as he is being melted in half.
From the inside out.
His organs are falling out. His sister's freaking out. He's screaming. And the whole time you're thinking, yeah, that's what happens. Because health insurers are scum. And this movie is one of the most cathartic films for anybody who has ever been denied coverage for something they needed.
And so fitting for a film about our main baddie having cancer. Like very fitting.
I do love that like anybody who ever even remotely wronged John Kramer was chosen for this, no matter how small the slight or how large.
Yeah, dude, it's beautiful. I do remember, dude, like Saw 6, I remember because I remember watching Saw 5 when it came out, being like, I don't hate this, but this is a lackluster entry after like the first set of films. And I'm one of those that like Saw 4 a bit more than most people. Mm-hmm. But I remember when this came out and I was hearing like, no, this is like a really good sequel. And I was like, God damn, what was this with Saw 5? This sequel's fucking good. And yeah, just having it be fucking health insurance as the people to attack. And to the point where like, yeah, when I remember don't get me wrong, I felt bad for good old Easton here, but more so for how he's dying, because that does not look fun at all.
I felt more bad for Pamela. Watching her brother literally melt to death has got to be quite traumatic.
That has. I remember thinking like, Pamela, look away, stop looking.
But if I was that kid and my father died because some asshole denied him health insurance, I would probably do the very same thing.
Well, and that to me is the beauty of that trap, is that you get it. You get why the mom won't do it. There's still that moral fiber, like, I can't do that, even though this guy did, we did. But it doesn't, she has that mindset of like, it doesn't make us better. Fair. You get that mindset.
Yeah.
You get the kid's mindset though, because I'm agree. If I was a teenager and that's like how my dad went out, I'd probably pull that fucking lever. I'd be like, fuck you, dude. Boom, and pull that shit.
Oh, yeah, good stuff. I'm picturing like a guy wakes up in a trap and you hear the voice like, "Hello, Thomas. I want to play a game. Years ago, you cut me off in traffic and you did not apologize. Now you shall be the one who was cut off." Like, I could see that happening.
Somehow, like cutting off in traffic goes back to his cancer because it always does.
It caused him to miss one of the chemo treatments, and that was the one that was going to turn this all around. I'm seeing this as the plot for like Saw 15, where they've like it's the timeline is like just like an hour and a half in the middle of Saw 1, where like right before Jigsaw set up that trap, he did this.
Jesus Christ.
All right, with that, let's talk about Saw 10. Kevin Grudert came back to direct. So, you give that guy shitty health related people and jigsaw traps, you're going to get a good movie.
Yeah. He did Saw, like sorry, but he did Saw 6, which was a fan favorite entry in the franchise. I don't blame him for Saw, the final chapter again. There was a whole litany of behind the scenes issues going on with that. And then, yeah, he did this recent one. So, yeah, you give this guy like a movie he wants to do in the Saw franchise and it gets grip. He makes a good, to me, he's right behind Darren Lynn Bousman when it comes to Saw films, as far as, or he might, I don't know, it's tough because admittedly, like, yeah, Darren Lynn Bousman has quantity over Kevin Grutert, but I don't know. It's hard right now because I saw 2 and 3 are really strong. Spiral was okay. 4 was fun enough. But then Kevin Grutert, yeah, he's done less, but 6 and X are fucking fantastic. There's 3D to take into account, but these 2 are fantastic.
Yeah, but 3D he basically did with a gun to his head.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't blame him for that. I do appreciate Spiral's commitments to making sure that it was still part of the series. He had Charlie Clouser's score and they referenced John Kramer. I am glad that it's not just this weird outlier with nothing to do with Saw.
Yeah.
And that this didn't call itself Saw 9, because that would have pissed off some people.
Oh,
so John Kramer is not doing too great. He's gonna die. There's that great moment where he visualizes a trap for that kid who's stealing the guy's watch in his ring, and he has that great, like, he sees it all happening. Just the fucking, can you like vacuum suck out somebody's eyeballs? Is that possible?
I don't know, but holy shit. When they did the close-up of you seeing the eye turn red and shit, and then it just gets boop, like
I thought
right out.
I thought those were tubes and like acid or something was going to come flying down into his eyes. That's what I thought was happening.
I know. I was like, I mean, that would have been cool too, but God, watching those things get sucked out. Ugh. After watching like 3 of his fingers get bent back.
I mean, at that point, if I was told like break your fingers or your eyes are coming out, I'd be like, I'd immediately turn that thing into just let them all break.
I probably would. Yeah, I probably been like, I'd been like 3, 2, 1, boom,
yeah,
and just taking the fucking pain.
It would hurt, but you get some splints, that shit'll heal.
Russell, your fingers will heal, and you'll still have your eyes.
You can't. I don't think you can reinsert eyeballs.
No.
I mean, you can, but you ain't gonna see out of them. It's gonna look like you're gonna look like a googly-eyed potato head man.
Yeah. Oh God.
But John looks at that kid, and the kid's like, "Okay," and just puts it back. And John's like, "Good choice."
Yeah. And what I love is, for those if you don't know, that's the only trap you get now for like the next hour of the film.
But I was so invested in the story, I was just like, and since the trailer, like, you knew what was coming, you knew he was going to get conned.
Oh yeah.
You see how it all unfolds, and it's a brilliant con. I mean, he had that cancer survivor from the support group show up randomly at the cafe and be like, "Hey, John, I'm cured. Look at my scar. I'll give you their email." And you feel bad for John. You're like, all he wants is a chance, and this is a fake chance.
Yeah.
So John goes to Mexico, ends up with that taxi driver who's in on it, and goes to the compound, meets Cecilia, the daughter of this amazing Norwegian doctor who created this incredible cancer cure that he's been forced out of Norway for or something. which is probably all
Yeah.
bullshit too. I don't think there ever was any.
No, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was all she. It was probably an actor she hired.
Yeah. John goes through fake surgery, meets a kid named Carlos, fixes his bike, learns how to say pole in Spanish, which will help him later.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like how they paid that off later.
Um,
Like how we get little breadcrumbs of what's actually happening too. Like when they're doing the surgery and they say like, "Hey, turn the TV," and you're thinking like, I was so into the story. I'm thinking like, "Oh, they just don't want them to see it." And I'm like, "Wait, nope." I was like, "Wait, no, what are you doing, stupid? You're watching a Saw movie." There's a reason they said that.
yes, everything, every line matters in the Saw movie. Uh, John does the surgery. He wakes up. He's got bandages on. They're like, "Don't worry about the bandages. It'll clean itself, and you just focus on getting better. You beat it, buddy. Good job." And I'm just like, "You pieces of
Yeah.
shit, you
And what's
horrible
crazy,
people."
yeah, and what's crazy is they're not wrong. I know they have those kind of bandages that you can take in the shower with you and you're fine. So you
Yeah,
don't have to keep taking it off if you got a bad wound. They do the same thing now with like tattoos. They got this like thing after you get it that you can put on and take in the shower with you. It's a hell of a lot better for healing.
good. Well, I hope that under that is an actual wound that needs to heal because John didn't have one.
Yeah, most times there's an actual wound on case tattoos. You have new ink on your body that needs to heal.
The only way he finds out is he tries to go back to give Gabriella, another survivor, a gift of tequila, and then finds the place completely in shambles and a how to do brain surgery tape on
Yep.
ready to go. And he just realizes I got played. It's time to play a game. calls Hoffman, calls Amanda, and says, "I need to get the A team together. It's time to fuck some people up."
Oh yeah, I love it. Hey, detective, I need your skills to help find some people. And for me, being a longtime fan, I'm sure there was some people that maybe they haven't watched in a while. The way they did, you could easily attract new people into this franchise with this installment.
Yeah.
Probably didn't get it, but I'm sitting there going, "Holy shit, he's calling detective Hoffman's going to pop up at some point in this movie. He is calling the Hoffmanator. Let's go."
uh, and he easily gets all these guys put in the same compound that he got screwed in, keeps them locked up, and has Amanda hunt them down, and tells them all like, "Hey, remember me?"
Oh yeah, I love that scene when you get to watch Amanda hunt them all down.
Yeah, just like you fucked with the absolute wrong guy.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Like John Wick will just shoot you, not John, not John Kramer.
I love that they're all like immediately like, "Hey, we didn't mean it. Hey, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. She made me do it." They all are just such sniveling little cowards. And John doesn't buy that shit for a minute. Amanda kind of is like, "Hey, maybe we let the drug addict go." And John's like, "If she wins, sure."
Yeah, I
That's how
love
this
how.
works.
Yeah, and this is why again why I have to just really praise Tobin Bell's performance because you see the human side in the first hour of this film, right? A human John that we don't see often that isn't worried about the games and stuff like that. But when you get to this point where he has them trapped and he's talking to them in the group,
Yeah.
and you see it's subtle, but you see Jigsaw John Kramer. You see, no, you now have tapped into the side of me you don't want to see.
What to me, it seemed almost like this con killed John Kramer. Like all his hope of life after the game was gone. Jigsaw took over for good. That's who he is now.
Yeah.
Any hope he had left died with the con.
Yeah, absolutely. Because and it's subtle, but it's there. You see, it's no longer John Kramer. It's I want to play a game, Jigsaw. You guys fucked me over. I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yep. And first up is I forgot her fucking name again.
Didn't you just say her name earlier?
Yeah, I did. Valentina. Valentina. I want to say Veronica, and I knew that wasn't right. Valentina, with the bone marrow, she bites it. Gabriella and Mateo are freaking the fuck out. Supposed to be Gabriella up next, but Amanda made sure Mateo was up next so Gabriella could have a little bit more time to stew and panic and freak out.
Yeah. I mean, thanks, Amanda.
And Mateo's trap is he has gotten a part of his hair cut off to reveal a nice bald spot for brain surgery. And he has to go in there with a bone saw and rip out a piece of his brain and put enough in the little jar that'll dissolve and open the key.
Alice saw 3.
Yeah.
That's what I thought immediately when this trap happened. Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie. a part of me was like, what if he gets like just all of a sudden loses all function of body when he pulls a bit of his brain out? He just like becomes like just a limp, just as soon as he pulls his brain out,
Well,
part of his brain out.
I just assume that Dr. Gordon told Jigsaw, make sure you cut into this part here and he'll be fine.
Yeah, oh probably.
Yeah.
You got this, Sean. Dude, that was another one that almost like I was like, oh god, I don't know if I could do that. Like, cut into your fucking head
Well,
to take
when
out
like,
part of your brain. Ugh.
when the skull cap comes off and it's just like red pulsing brain and he just goes in there for and just starts digging around in there. I'm like, can you fucking do that? Like, can I just start pulling bits out of my fucking head and just walk away?
I don't know.
I don't think that you can do that.
Also, I don't think you'd be awake. I think at some point, a lot of people forget that when we experience huge amounts of pain, we go into this thing called shock. One of the symptoms of shock is that sometimes you pass the fuck out. So in a lot of these Saw movies, you would pass out.
I think it's hilarious that in 10 films, not one person has ever passed out from shock.
Yeah. I'm like, look, so like, I mean, in all fairness, let's just blow that realism off the door. In a lot of these traps, the painful shit you're doing, you would pass out. Now, yes, there is the added benefit. I'm sure the loophole of adrenaline makes you do astounding things, and that has been proven time and time again.
And Jigsaw's whole, will to survive philosophy and all that.
Yeah, so I'm sure, yes, you probably could do a lot if you're like at that kind of point could do it. But like for example, like when Matthews in Saw 3 fucking bashes his foot in and then breaks his foot, like I would think like after the breaking of the foot, especially, you'd probably like pass the hell out before you finally slipped it out.
I didn't count that on my list because it's technically not a trap. It's just Matthews breaking his own fucking ankle. But that probably is the worst, cringiest moment of the franchise for me. Just him grabbing it and just snapping it down. God damn.
To me, it's not even that part. It's when he's fighting Amanda and she kicks him there. Oh, I cringe every time.
We as a society backed the wrong Wahlberg. Team Donnie all the way.
Yeah, I'm Team Donnie all the way. He's a much better Wahlberger.
Yes. Okay, so at that point, what's his name? Parker, I think it was. Yeah, Parker.
Yeah, Parker
shows up and is like, "Hey, bitch, I know you cheated me. Let me in." And John's like, "Well, I'm gonna need that gun, but I will show you justice, and then you can make your decision." And at this point, you're like, "Why no, something's not right here."
Yeah, and that's what I love is that you're watching and going like, "Look, I have seen 9 other films. John's not done. What the fuck's going on here?"
Well, with this one, I assume differently because this is early on in the run, and I thought like, oh, did he fuck up massively? Because he's not as I thought like the mastermind part isn't there yet, but no. He's always been the mastermind. He's always been in complete control. That's never changed.
Yeah. No, well, and because again on the rewatch, I always forget that with Saw 1, the bathroom trap isn't his initial trap. They have a quick line dialogue that says like, oh, he's been active for a bit, like, oh yeah, the Jigsaw killer. So like the bathroom trap was one of like probably his 4th or 5th trap at that point. So I was like, okay, he's not done. What the fuck's going on? Why is he so letting of this guy? What is happening?
Well, Parker is revealed to be we'd met him earlier as another cancer survivor, but he shows up. He's actually Cecilia's partner and is there to get her out and get their money back. And they take control of the trap. Or no, first off, my mistake.
Don't forget about Gabriella.
Yeah, I forgot about Gabriella's game. She gets hoisted up to the ceiling with one arm in chains, one leg in chains, and this giant radioactive heater just blasting her with radiation. And she's burning up. She breaks through her ankle and then swings away. And I laughed my ass off when the fucking heater just moved with her.
Yeah. I like how you get to that moment where she's like, oh, thank God, I can at least break my arm in peace. And you just see it move and the look on her face like, fuck.
I know it was supposed to be a scary moment, but I instinctively was like, ha! I think I annoyed somebody.
It was someone made the comment there's a lot of dark humor in this Saw film more than any other ones, and I agree. In that moment I was like, I see what they mean. There's some really good like black humor kind of running throughout this installment.
Well, Gabriella makes it through her trap. She breaks her ankle, breaks her wrist, and then is just lying there irradiated, barely alive. Parker shows up, breaks Cecilia out of the game. She takes over, supposedly. kills Gabriella, breaks her neck.
I will say, again, going back to Tony Bell's performance, I love how his performance in this moment, because he does make you think like, shit, maybe he's not a mastermind. Maybe they really got Jigsaw here. But I remember thinking, going, there's no way they did not get something's up. Like he's too calm. Something's fucking up. But with that, I also love, again, you see that this is a guy that, regardless of the fact that, look, I don't buy into him not being a killer. He's 100% a killer. Okay. I'm with Eric Matthews. You put a gun in someone's head, tell him not, you're still helping them pull the trigger, or whatever the fuck he says in Saw 2.
I buy into the philosophy. I think that they
Well,
all
that's
they all
because
did it to themselves.
no, that's because you're a psychopath, and it doesn't hold up in court. He'd still go to jail for being a fucking killer. Now, with that said, you fucking sociopath. I do like though that, look, regardless of what you think, he lives by his word. I love that because he is very much like to go to a hospital. I love he's like, hey, you need to take her to a hospital. She survived her game. She's done. And I love that little touch. Like you do see, like, regardless of what we may think of his philosophy, he lives by it. He's like, no, she survived. She played the game she won. You need to get her help. Like,
yeah.
And then when you see her, Cecilia kill her, you're like, oh yeah.
I love Amanda's reaction of like, oh my God, you're a monster. And I'm like, wow, hot calling kettle black over here.
I know, right? I was like, damn, but it works because, again, John Kramer believes and goes by his philosophy that you're like, well, I mean, he may be a monster, but he's at least saying, yeah, get this lady to a hospital. She needs help. Like, her game is done. And she's like, no, fuck that. She dies.
So at this point, you're the audience thinking like somehow Jigsaw has lost control here. You're forgetting that, oh no, he's going to die in a hospital bed from Jeff and his buzzsaw in a few movies, so he's gonna be fine. But
he's going to survive this.
Yeah. Then Carlos shows up, and that's when Jigsaw's like, "Oh shit, I did not expect this," and we actually do have a variable. And I felt so bad for that kid. Just the kid gets put in Cecilia's trap with John, and they both start getting waterboarded with blood.
Yeah,
and Jigsaw's like, "No, don't pull it, don't pull it."
Yeah, I like how he has his own morals. He tells the kid, whatever you do, don't pull. Like, Jigsaw was willing to get waterboarded and take it all to keep that kid safe.
Jigsaw would never, ever, ever hurt a child. Children are innocent. Children do not, all children deserve life.
Yeah, well, and again, talking about the whole variable thing, that hits hard because I remember rewatching it. I forgot he has that line of dialogue in one of them. I forget which installment already, where he says, like, it's you learning about how to anticipate human
human behavior. Leave nothing to chance. That line.
Yeah, leave nothing to chance. Yeah. So you see that this is 5. Yeah, you see that this is a guy that he thinks everything out. So he is genuinely like, shit, I didn't plan for the kid coming here.
I also would like to point out, Jigsaw did lock up Jeff's daughter and basically say, like, she'll be locked up forever because you killed me. So I take back he won't hurt a child.
Yeah. I think he was betting on like someone rescuing her.
I guess he did human behavior and all that. He did figure Strom's going to bust in there and not read anything.
Strom was a dedicated man.
But Carlos even like pulls on the lever and is like, no, I'll take this one, John. You fixed my bicycle.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crazy.
It is, but I guess you could argue
not a lot of 8-year-olds out there who are going to self-sacrifice themselves.
Oh, no. But the only argument I have is it's Mexico. It's kind of known for its corruptness. So maybe, I don't know.
What, the kids, he's like a fucking cartel boss in secret?
I guess. I don't know.
Goddamn. Okay. Well,
the only argument I get is like Mexico's well-known corruptness in its police force. I don't know. Maybe the kid was like, you're a good adult that isn't trying to hurt me. I got you, John.
Okay. You know what? I'll accept that as yeah. So
Parker, like, tigers are not afraid. Sorry.
Parker and Cecilia go up to the office to look for the money. They find what they think is the money. They grab it, and a countdown starts. And that's when you're like, motherfucker, he knew. Like, he never once lost control. Yeah, so satisfying.
He was playing along, and sure enough, I was like, because I'm thinking, like, I guarantee you, John has a key or something on him. Because sure enough, when it drops, you see him unlocking his own trap and getting out of it. I'm like, oh, this is also, he wasn't worried about the blood because he knew he could just unlock himself out of it.
I do love when he goes to Carlos and he's like, you are a warrior. That's his way of saying, I am so sorry that you had to be here for this.
You were not part of this game.
Yeah. And the music starts, and you're just like, oh, here's the twist. Here it comes.
Saw one. Remember, he was supposed to kill Gordon's family. Gordon had a child.
True, but he probably counted on Zep and Tap, Tap getting Zep before that could happen. Remember, anticipation of human behavior.
I know, but I'm just saying there are fallacies to him not hurting children.
Children have certainly been put in peril under his watch. I will say that, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, I like that you are a warrior. I'm like, Jigsaw, he just took blood that technically he didn't have to take because you could have just unlocked yourself out of the trap there, buddy.
Carlos is going to go home covered in someone else's blood and just tell his mom, like, you don't really, I don't know what happened tonight.
Yeah, right. I like how we'll get to it, but how they just walk out like a family. I'm like, why is Carlos happy? He is covered in blood.
Covered in blood and has a duffel bag full of money. And he's just like, people are going to ask questions.
Yeah. Or, it's Mexico. Maybe they won't. Who the fuck knows?
So Cecilia and Parker get gassed, and there's a hole open for one of them. And so they start killing each other to get in that hole. And Parker loses because Cecilia's a vicious bitch and puts her head in that hole. And I guess that's kind of where we leave her. Does she
this gets into like my minor quibbles with the film, because overall I really liked it. One, I thought, and this is more so just because being a longtime Saw fan, the twist, I was like, okay. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, buy it. Because the whole time I'm thinking, like, something's up. Jigsaw, something's up. He wants to be in that trap. But again, that's just because longtime fan, I knew there was going to be a twist. Like, it's a Saw movie. At this point, you can't surprise me. But also, yes, what they did with her, because I'm thinking, like, okay, look, this takes place between Saw 1 and 2. She never shows up in the franchise. Why even leave it in question? Just kill her off. I know they've stated before this came out, hey, we have more planned stories to tell. Like, they have more ideas for what to do with Jigsaw and stuff. Mm-hmm. But even still, like, why even leave it to chance? Like, give me a clean cut, like, show her dying somehow. So then we have a very clear cut, like, this is why she never came back. You know what I mean? Because now this just makes me go, like, wait a minute. You have to explain this in a sequel that's probably also going to take place between events.
I assumed that she was stuck there. Like, she can't get out of that hole because the room that was sealed is flooded with gas. So there's no way out for her. That's what I assumed.
That's what I thought. I mean, like, she's stuck there, even if she like puts her head back in there, like there's no way out of the room, so she's going to just be stuck in that room.
Yeah. I guess.
I don't know. That like I said, it was a minor quibble. I was like, okay, twist is good twist, but I kind of like saw something coming. And what the fuck are we doing with that character? Like, she doesn't pop up. You take place in between movies.
No one's ever been like cleaved in half long ways in this movie, in this franchise. I think that would be a good one. I'd like to see that happen.
That's what I half expected, was like the thing to like cut her fucking head off or something.
That would have been perfect. Yeah, just, game over, slice, her head rolls down, and there, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
But that's not the end. We get a post-credit scene where the last piece of this puzzle. Oh shit, we forgot the taxi driver guy, his trap with the bombs.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah.
That was pretty brutal.
That was, seeing him have to cut the shit out of his arm, which I think they also should have figured a way out to like kill him, because you're telling me he just gave answers to Jigsaw and then didn't say shit about what he went through.
I mean, would you rat on that guy?
Yeah, Mexico. I always forget him in Mexico. It's the perfect cocktail.
A dude like bolts bombs to your arms and tapes up your hands and says cut your fucking arms apart to get those bombs off. I'm not gonna say shit about that guy ever. If I make it out of there alive, it's the last. I'm gonna flee. I'm gonna go like hide in fucking Brazil and just lay low.
Make for a point.
Yeah. So the guy, what's his name? The cancer survivor, Henry, who lied to John about this whole thing for his cut, is strung up in our favorite bathroom.
I do like they do a little light thing to be like, hey guys, it's the bathroom. Like, oh, here we go.
And who do we get but helping John string this guy up? But Detective Hoffman. Yay.
I know. I was like, ah, there he is.
looking considerably older than he did in Saw 3. But, time is everyone's enemy.
Yeah. Again, look, I gotta give credits to, and considering how much they've spent in Hollywood de-aging people, and it still looks like shit, and the movies have flopped. You know what? Fuck it, bravo, Saw. You said, hey, we're gonna make the actors just look how they look and let the performances speak for themselves.
I think what they should have done, and yeah, this would have been distracting and probably irritated a lot of people. Amanda and Hoffman both should have been wearing backwards baseball caps the whole movie. It's like, oh, that means they're younger.
Yeah, I would have been like, oh, okay, here we go.
I would have been immediately on board. Like, yeah, okay, continue. But yeah, Hoffman strings up this guy. It's like, of all the people to cheat, you had to pick John Kramer. Wow, way to go. Nice.
I do really like his line. You're like, ah, oh, there it is.
And I don't know what they were gonna do to Henry, but he had like some like razor spider clock thing on his chest.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. I do like when John lifts up his shirt and goes, where's the scar, Henry? I'm like, oh.
You don't cheat a man who literally has, doesn't kill, but allows to be killed everyone who has ever even remotely slightly wronged him. Like, yeah, so good. And that's the end of Saw 10. I'm looking forward to Saw 11. I hope it happens next year. I liked it back in the day when we got one every year.
It was nice. Yeah, we'll see. I really like this one. Apparently so did audiences and critics. It did well at the box office. Critics were loving it. Who knows? It looks like Saw might be revived, and perfect timing with the writer's strike ending officially, and talking to the actors this week. So perfect timing. They might be able to get on one. Hopefully,
Halloween. It must be Saw. This is great.
It's reclaimed its glory.
Yeah, this is the best 10th movie I've ever seen.
Honestly, I have seen a lot of horror franchises, and I can attest, yes, most 10th films are things like Jason X, which, look, I love Jason X. It's a lot of fun.
Amazing.
But I mean, getting one that's actually this good and that critics like, you do not see this often. Not with a fucking a 10th installment film.
This franchise clearly has a lot more gas in the tank, and I am looking forward to seeing where we go next. Like who else is going to pop back in? I've heard like a lot of other franchise like actors have expressed interest in returning.
Yeah, you would have thought of all the it's so funny. I remember when like I said, this series first came out, people were just kind of shitting on it, and like, oh, they're just torture porn, and all of a sudden it's like it's hit its place in horror history. It's like, no, it's Saw. Like, this is a big franchise for horror fans, and the fact that it came back in such a strong way is fucking awesome.
It's not torture porn, it's torture erotica. It's classier.
It's not hardcore, it's softcore.
Yeah, this is Cinemax we're talking here. Like this, there's some sensuality to it. It's not just hardcore fucking.
Yeah.
There's love there.
There's no insert shots. It's and I don't mean the kind of insert shots you're thinking for regular movies, guys and gals. No, there's corny music playing where they just go at it.
Oh, I love it.
Softcore. Now, going on.
Go see Saw 10. It's awesome. I wonder how it's going to fare against The Exorcist Believer, which is next week's movie. I never thought I'd see Jigsaw go up against Pazuzu at the box office, but here we are.
Predicting it, Saw X is going to hold strong, and Exorcist Believer will do all okay.
I think they're both going to be obliterated by the fucking Paw Patrol movie again.
I think they're going to get obliterated by Taylor Swift when that comes out.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Yep.
Why do you think? Remember why The Exorcist moved?
Yeah. The power of Christ compels you, Taylor.
Unless you're Tay-Tay.
Power of Tay-Tay compels you. God damn it. Well, yeah, we get The Exorcist Believer, which we're planning to do a cool thing with the Exorcist franchise. It's going to be fun. And then also on Paramount Plus, Pet Sematary Bloodlines, the movie that no one ever asked for, but they kept insisting we're going to get. This was forced upon us. I don't have a lot of hope for this. I did not like 2019's Pet Sematary at all. And I see this as a completely unnecessary prequel that's probably going to suck, but I will watch it. And if it's worth it, we might talk a little bit about it.
We'll see. I'll give it a shot 'cause it's on the streamer. So what am I to lose
Exactly.
watching it?
Just time and effort.
Yeah, I don't have my time sitting on my couch. I'm not going to get back.
Yep. But for sure, The Exorcist believer. I'm hopeful. You not so much.
Fuck you, David Gordon Green. Fuck you.
Well, we can voice all of those frustrations proper because we didn't get to really do that with Halloween Ends. So this will be an opportunity for you to rip him a new one, unless, of course, this movie turns out to be fantastic.
Fuck him and the high horse he rode in on.
We will see. I have a feeling next week we're going to be pretty divided. Until then, we'll see you. Have a good one. Keep watching movies. Thanks for listening.